Hi, I'm Darlene Washington, and this is Spiritually Intriguing, the Church Edition. We're here today with Pastor Charles A. Floyd II of New Mount Olive Missionary Baptist Church. Pastor?
Good evening. How are you?
I'm fine, and yourself?
Good to see you.
Same here.
Thank you.
Today we're going to talk with Pastor Floyd all about many issues that are going on in society today. And we're going to get a spiritual perspective on things. I think it helps us to get along in our daily lives. So what we're going to do now is learn all about Pastor Floyd's spiritual journey. Can you tell us, how did you become Pastor Charles A. Floyd II?
I actually, from a child, knew that I was supposed to go into ministry. A lot of people just come up with the idea, but this is something that has been a lifelong calling. If we can just fast forward a good number of years, I was serving at the Rock of Ages Baptist Church in Maywood, Illinois. Mm-hmm. My pastor is Marvin Wiley, and he'd allowed me to teach some classes. And the God-given ability to be able to teach really shined. Mm-hmm. And when a church became available, after some grooming by him, he said, "There's a church available." I said, "I'd like to apply to the church," and 12 years later, here I am.
Awesome, awesome. I love to hear all the pastors' journeys as to how they became in such a prestigious position. It is so important to our society to have that type of guidance, and it's very much appreciated. So there you have it, Pastor Floyd's journey to New Mount Olive Missionary Baptist Church. And now we're going to start with our issues. One thing I learned about in terms of genetics was this. Scientists have determined that physical characteristics are based on geographical regions, alleles, I hope I said that right, and whatever else they derive to be a part of it. But the problem is we are still mankind. We're one race, mankind, people. Why is it so hard for people to accept that?
That's actually a very good question, and I know it's going to sound churchy, but really the issue is really about sin. Mm. When the races were divided, all of this came about because God said, "Go, be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth." Okay, mm-hmm. After the flood. Well, they didn't want to do that. They wanted to stay in one spot, build a city, and we're going to hang out right here. Mm-hmm. God came down, confused their languages, and they all scattered. Generally, people will oppose what they don't understand. Mm-hmm. And because you're one race and I'm another race, well, of course, I'm going to think my race is better than your race, and I'm going to come up with convoluted ideas as to why I'm better than you are. Mm-hmm. That's just human nature, and that's going to be perpetuated until the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ comes back. So that, unfortunately, Dr. Martin Luther King had a wonderful idea when he said one day he would appreciate if his children would be judged by the content of their character and not by the color of their skin. That's a dream deferred.
Well, we have gotten better, though. I know we've gotten better. It doesn't seem that way when you look at what recently happened with the Mike Brown situation. It's very unfortunate. I was displeased to learn through you that CNN reports that Mike Brown did actually rob the convenience store.
Yes, the video, I was watching CNN quite heavily, and I'm actually going to be going down to participate in the march. But there's a video, and the family attorney did suggest, or did concede rather, that this was in fact Mike Brown. But see, that's not the issue. They put the video out, in my opinion, to taint the fact that this young man was killed. They're tainting it by saying, well, you know, the victim is now being put on trial because he did this, that, and the other. That's going to reflect very poorly in the perception of people, in the judgment of the public. They're going to look at that and say, well, the guy was a criminal, he was a crook. Listen, this was defamation that they tried to cover up an assassination. That's all it was.
Yeah, I mean, I do understand that. My thing is, he's 18 years old, he robbed a convenience store. Mm-hmm. There are many young black men, white men, Asian, Hispanic men who get into crime and later change their ways and become very productive citizens. So it's no reason to believe that this particular gentleman couldn't have turned his life around. So it's disappointing to learn the way that he was killed.
this is institutionalized, just like racism. They're bad cops, and we're using the specifics. A white cop, armed, killed a black, unarmed young man. This has been going on forever. That is the way that it is, and unfortunately, or fortunately in this case, it struck a responsive chord in society, and they're saying this is not right.
It does. It has to stop. I mean, as I said, these men, just because you start off in a life of crime doesn't mean you're forever in a life of crime. People have changed. People remarkably changed.
With all due respect to you, I really don't think that's an issue. I think this is smoke and mirrors. One of the things that a magician does is they have sleight of hand. It's called misdirection. While they're wiggling their hand over here, the real action is over here.
Right.
They're trying to focus on, well, yeah, the young man, he robbed the store. They're looking at that, but the real issue is, why was this young man stopped?
Right. And
why was he shot?
right.
Why was his hands in the air and he was still shot multiple times until he was dead?
Right.
Why was it that the police officer's name took 4 days in order to be released? When any other situation, officer so-and-so shot the perpetrator. Why? Why the elaborate
Cover up.
I don't want to use the word cover up.
Delay of information.
I will say delay of information, smoke screen, all of that.
Yeah.
And even for the President of the United States to make comment about that, this just doesn't smell right.
Yeah.
Now, this is not an indictment on police, because we know, we love and respect our police officers, and a number of them are good.
Yes.
But you always have, like,
there's always a few bad cops, and
Yeah.
it's always like that.
Yeah.
But I wasn't meaning to. I do recognize the smoke and mirror situations that do occur. What I was addressing is the fact that just because I'm saying the cop, in the cop's mind, and what they wanted to project, well, this horrible person, he's out here robbing people, he deserves to die. And I'm saying by no means does he deserve to die because he robbed anyone. And so there's no justification in that, in addition to the fact that, he had his hands in the air and was still shot multiple times. It's just crazy. I mean, please, just stop. Just stop.
If I may I suggest one more thing? When the chief of police was asked, did the officer know that the person that he had shot, did he know that he was in fact the same person that robbed the convenience store?
So he didn't even have any knowledge.
There was no
connection. And that makes it really, really pathetic. And that makes it really pathetic. Yeah. So I understand the actions of the citizens. I mean, it's an outrage to all of our men out here. We got to do something about this.
As an aside, I saw an article, not an article, I'm sorry, it was a commercial, and it's interesting. They have a young black child laying in the lap of a white woman, and she's stroking him like a pet. Then she's eating at the dinner table, and she takes food off her plate and hand feeds it to him. A number of these scenarios, and you're looking at this and you're saying, what in the world? And at the end of the commercial, they're saying, a child eats better than some dogs do. So it was just the representation of it.
It was. I saw that. I saw that on the internet, and I thought it was a little much. It's the juxtaposition to an animal, a dog on the floor, and a black child. I mean, it just wasn't right.
But sociologically speaking, what is the value of a black life? What is the value?
The value of a black life is what each person sees. But in reality, every life has an extreme value. And, every life is important. Every life is vital. We don't know at any point in time which citizen is going to turn into a leader. You don't know when God is going to smack someone on the back of the head, so to speak, and say, hey, get yourself together. And all of a sudden, they turn around and they're this person that you never would expect them to be. It has happened before. It happens all the time. So we have to acknowledge that. And just hope for the best and keep doing what we're doing to make these things stop.
What we're looking at is really nothing new. I mean, if we can go to the Bible, when the Jews were in Egypt, they came up with a plan. Pharaoh said, you know what, we need to deal with them. Less in a time of war, they're going to turn on us and fight with our enemies. So what did they do? They started working them to death. They started killing the male babies.
Yeah.
So this is nothing new.
Yeah.
We don't, races that don't understand another race, they would generally oppose them. And historically, a black life is worth next to nothing by those that are not black. We were kings, we were princes. And we, in a sense, have forgotten our history, forgotten our dignity, forgotten our gravity. And the fact of the matter is, until we assert that we are a nation to be reckoned with, we are people to be recognized, and we start carrying ourselves better than what we do, we're going to continue to be treated like trash.
Well, I know where you're going with that, and I don't know that I agree with that, but what I want to point out is, I mean, black people aren't the only people who don't always carry themselves properly.
True.
All races carry themselves improperly at times.
True.
So I completely understand your angle, but it's like people have to look beyond the measure of race. And that's what I was getting at. You have to look beyond the measure of race and look into the value of human life itself. So it's not only just about black people, it's about all life. It's unfortunate that we have this situation coming down the pipes as we do now with the racial tension, which is also due to the presidency of Barack Obama, which is our next topic. But I do understand where you're coming from, and I respect the approach to that problem. Another topic we're going to cover, as I was saying earlier, is Barack Obama's presidency. I've never seen so many people hate just one president. You know, we have racism that just sprouted out of dirt dry corners. You know, people just started flying out the window when Barack Obama became president. And this after they swore that, oh, there's no racism. What racism? What racism are you talking about? Oh, we got a black president. What are you talking about? There's no racism. And then here you see all these things happening. I don't know why this is happening, but we are still all people. You know, we are all still the same people. And right now, what I see and what has been pronounced is that Barack Obama's presidency is being, his progressiveness in his presidency is being blocked by certain members of his communion, in terms of his community. I'll say his community, meaning the Congress and whoever else out there is blocking his actions to make strides in the presidency and for the nation. Would you agree with that?
As you were talking, I was really thinking this comes down to really two issues. One is financial, the other is cultural. Those that are rich pay very little taxes, but they have employees that they pay next to nothing. If you want a rich person to begin to pay their fair taxes, it's going to cut into their profitability. Well, wait a minute. I don't want my life being affected. I like it the way it is. So you know what? We're going to keep them where they are so we can stay where we are. All right? That's the whole financial issue. The haves and the have-nots. And those that have want to continue to have. And those that have not, we're going to make sure they have not. Because they clean our houses. They do our work. We can pay them slave labor wages. And, you know, they're happy. And we're making plenty of money. But then again, it's not just financial, it's cultural. This is the way that it has been. Racism is institutionalized in America. If I can just coin a phrase or repeat something that's been said before, all they've done is they replaced the sheets with briefcases, with suits. Racism is alive and well in America, and we've become used to it that it doesn't even bother us anymore.
I agree with that. It's like we're out here and people want to subliminally erase racism. You know, oh, the music is going. Culture. Our cultures have cultivated a lot of people and brought a lot of people together because of, you know, the different arts and sciences and things of this nature. But it still has not truly addressed. That's the real issues. That's why you have people talking about, oh, we got diversity at our company, and when you get there and you experience their diversity, you're like, this is not diversity. There's no diversity here. This is a joke, and you want to get up and walk away, because that's not how you have to really address the issues. You can't skippity-doo-dah around the issues. You know, it's like, oh, you know, put that on the table now, or put that on the table later. You can put it on the table later to avoid discussing it, but it's still going to be a problem. It's not going to go away until you address the issues. So that's why I believe we really, really need to just come together as a nation. You know, I don't know who doesn't realize this, but if we're fighting within our own nation, we may as well be like the Middle East. We may as well be like them. You know, just you know, fighting each other for religious reasons and this thing and that race over there, and we've got to be better than that. We've got to be better than that.
The only thing that I believe is going to thing as a person, the only person I believe is going to be able to change the situation is Jesus Christ. Because we see when Christ died, he broke down the dividing wall. He broke the temple veil. People were able to come together through the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And that is the bottom line. The only way races and nations and differing ethnicities are able to come together is coming together through the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Period.
I hear you. Well, that does it for this segment of Spiritual Intriguing, the Church Edition. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.